Hello, everyone. David here. Welcome back to the DGR podcast. Hope you're all doing well. This is episode number 54. This is the last episode before Christmas 2022. So if you're listening to this before Christmas, Merry Christmas. I hope you have a good one. If you're listening to this after Christmas or any other time, I hope you had a good Christmas 2022, regardless of what time it is. I have a great guest today. I have Jamie Smith back on. Jamie was on episode 9 with us from Melbourne Strength Culture, and we had a bit of a catch up. So on episode 9, we kind of chatted about his plans going forward. We had quite a good chat, and actually it was one of our most popular podcasts, I think, around what was his plan in terms of content creation and building his business going forward for the year of 2022. And then we kind of had a bit of a catch up, and I wanted to ask him just about how building his team is going. He built an app, his podcast, all of those things, his social media, everything in between. I'm actually going to be over with the guys in Melbourne Strength Culture. I'm teaching my lower limb workshop in February. So I'm going to be over there in 5 or 6 weeks now. Actually, it's the workshop is sold out, which is cool. Sold out, and the Sydney workshop sold out weekend 1, and then the weekend 2. There's still a few tickets, I think, left for the second weekend in Sydney. So I'm looking forward to that little Australian tour, and it'll be nice to catch up with Jamie and the guys there and everyone else in Melbourne as well. So it was good to catch up. I'm getting ready for Christmas. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait, to be honest. I just got my Christmas haircut this morning, so I'm looking sharp. A little bit of a beard trim. He started to go down on the beard a little bit more, like on the sides, because I just have like a little bit of fluffiness on my cheeks that can't seem to grow in. So actually we decided to just like shave off that part altogether and bring the side, I don't know how to describe it, bring the sides down a little bit. But sometimes that can look like I'm trying to grow out just a goatee, but I'm not. It's just because I can't actually grow my trust me, I'm not. I just can't really grow out the sides of my cheeks very, very well. So if you have any tips for that, or maybe I just need to get onto Liver King and get a little bit of testosterone or something, I wonder would that help. So yeah, episode, what did I say? Number 54 today. One last thing before I put you onto the episode, or I let the episode play. Lower Body Basics 2 is being deleted forever. So if you've got it, you now have like I don't want to say a relic. That sounds like it's a really old thing. Not a relic. You have like, I don't know, maybe in the future you can like sell on LBB2 as some kind of like artifact or museum thing or something. I don't know, I'm missing the word here, but basically what I'm trying to say is let your last chance to get LBB2 if you want to get it. So Lower Body Basics 2, I did actually refilm it recently enough, but then I decided, okay, I just want to have one Lower Body Basics program going into 2023. So it was refilmed, it was rewritten, it's looking really, really good. It's a really good program, but it won't be available anymore very soon. Come post-Christmas, so it will be gone from the website. Anyone who's bought it will obviously have access to it forever, but anyone who hasn't can't get their hands on it anymore. So I'm going to put that as the first link in the show notes if you do want to get your hands on it. Even if you're not ready to use it straight away, maybe at the start of January you might be happy that you have it, or maybe you would gift it to someone else or something like that. So that's Lower Body Basics 2, first link in the show notes. Apart from that, I had a good chat with Jamie. We chatted about all those things. And then at the end of the podcast, we also spoke about, he asked me a question about the difference between running and walking in terms of like when we're looking at the gait cycle, what are the differences? So it was nice to kind of dive into that as well. So mix of kind of just plans for next year, a bit of business stuff, and then some movement stuff at the end, which maybe I need to do a full podcast on, or more delve into it a little bit more. But apart from that, really appreciate Jamie coming on. It's always a good time. Can't wait to get out to see everyone in Australia, especially considering the weather has been rough enough in Ireland for the last few weeks. So I'm happy that we chose a nice the start of February to head out there. So I can't wait. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Hope you have a great Christmas day. Eat loads of turkey and ham. Mushy peas are very important to have as well. They're underrated little thing to have as part of a Christmas dinner. So mushy peas, make sure you have them. Turkey and ham, maybe a little bit of stuffing. I'm not a big stuffing guy. Roast potatoes are absolutely key. I was going to say a little bit of gravy, but actually a lot of gravy. Maybe a bit of cranberry sauce on the side. You might want to kind of mix it in. It can be nice sometimes. Some carrots. The veg is very important, but it has to be done well. So I grew up on a household where, like, my veg was very much boiled veg, boiled carrots, boiled turnip, and that was mostly it. Parsnips, boiled parsnips. And then I met Kira, and I went over to her house, and actually turns out there's a whole other world to vegetables, and it's like roasted vegetables with all these seasonings and stuff like that. So that's absolutely key. And I'll be having dinner over at Kira's family, her brother-in-law and her sister's house, and other people from Kira's family will be there. And her brother-in-law, who I'm pretty good friends with, he has his own whiskey bar. He works for a whiskey company, so we'll be able to have a nice tipple there on Christmas Day as well. So I can't wait for that. I hope you have someone that you can spend the day with, and I hope you really enjoy it. And that's me gone off on a rant now. Also, what else? I watched Elf the other day. I'll probably watch Bad Santa maybe tonight. I watched a couple of Irish movies. I really got into I really got a hunger to watch some Irish movies. So I watched The Commitments, which is very good if you want to watch. You don't have to be from Ireland. You could watch The Commitments. It's like about a story about a guy who starts a band back in the, I don't know, 70s or something like that. I don't know, actually. 80s it could be, I don't know. But it's just lots of cursing and drinking and music and stuff like that. So that was very good. I watched Wind That Shakes the Barley the other night, which was kind of an old Irish rebel movie. Very, very good. Not that old, actually. And yeah, so that's it. Here is Jamie Smith. Jamie, I will see you in Melbourne soon, my friend. Everyone else, have a great Christmas.
A year recap. Is that what we're doing?
Kind of, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to carry the podcast, because I realized my first thing of my year recap is I can't do morning podcasts.
No?
It's 9 a.m. here. No, it has to be like 12 p.m., 1 p.m. where I like get into my groove.
You need a little run in. You need a little couple extra coffees.
100%.
I'm coming off a massive weekend, and it's 8 p.m. on a Monday, so we may just have a D&M then, just a low vibe one. Nah, it'd be good fun. We'll be right.
What I had a night out the other night with the lads, but we were all in bed by fucking 12:30. Like, it's.
I was gonna say, what's a night out for David Gray look like? What are we doing?
So we went to one of the lads' house. His missus was away, so we went there, drank a few cans, and I was a little bit late getting there, so I only had like 3 cans before we went out. But the guys were there for 3 or 4 hours before me, so they were getting well steamed. Then we went to an Oasis tribute band, and it was actually
nice,
very good, very, very good. But we left before, we probably left like before the last half an hour when they were going to play most of the best songs. So
I was going to say Wonderwall's the only one I know.
Yeah. So no, you definitely know, you know a lot of them. And then into the Chipper and chips and pizza, and then back home. And then he had limited beds in the house, so I just like was forced to go to bed so I could grab one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Smart play.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a drunk pizza man.
Well, I actually did something very smart. So I ordered a chicken burger and chips, but the chipper was absolutely heaving, right? Like, it was a tiny chipper, and I was up at the front, and the guy...
What the fuck is a chipper?
A chipper? Oh,
what is a chipper?
Like,
what the fuck's a chipper?
Chips and burgers and stuff.
All right, yeah, just a burger place. McDonald's.
Yeah.
Just a burger shop. All right.
No, but not like a McDonald's. Yeah, but you have chips, don't you? Yeah, hot chips.
Yeah, we got chips. Do you want to know what a chipper is though in Australia? Like, a fucking chipper lad. It's like a real Aussie. It's like a real. That's a chippy.
Yeah,
but like chipper, like it's a bit chipper. Like it's like a really Aussie. It's a real Aussie dude. I think that might only be a Melbourne thing. It might also just be what my mates say, but that's what a chipper is. So when you say, we went in the chipper.
So anyway, let me finish. So we were in the chipper, and the place was tiny, and the guy, I was watching the guy. Now I was steamed up, but like I was watching a guy, he had zero system. Obviously, they're never, ever busy, right? So he was just taking money in, and the guys in the back were just cooking whatever, like they were just cooking as much of it, food as they could. So I was there like 15 minutes waiting for my chicken burger and chips, and I knew like he had forgotten about me completely. So I saw him packing up a pepperoni pizza, a garlic chip, a chicken burger, and something else into a bag. And I was watching him, and he put it all into a bag. And as he was walking over, I just went, pizza, garlic chip, and chicken burger.
You're a dog.
And he just went, yeah, that's you. So that was my win for the night. So I told Kira goes, I told Kira the next day, and she goes, so you stole it from him? I was like, no, like,
no, you pay, just pay for someone else.
Exactly. We
used to do that. So I live around the corner from Chadstone Shopping Centre, which is this massive shopping center. It's like the biggest one in Australia. It's fucking ginormous. And they put it, when I was at high school, they renovated this area and they put a McDonald's in it. And it was such a busy McDonald's. Like, it was crazy. And all the school kids, you just walk past the bit where everyone's lining up. And as soon as they'd call our number, you're like, yep, 42, pick it up and just walk to the bus stop, open your bag, see what you got. But we've all done it.
Look, he did. 100%.
We've all done it.
How have you been?
What are you, hang on. I got a few more questions about your nights out. What are you drinking? What are you drinking to get steamed, as you'd call it?
So we were drinking cans of Guinness in the house. And that's a new enough thing. Like, Guinness is very cool now. It's very in over the last few years. So before, it obviously was always in Ireland, but like, it's now when my group, now maybe it's because we're getting a little bit older as well, but my group of friends, like pretty much all of them will be drinking Guinness. Guinness is really in now at the moment. And even at my wedding in June, we have friends from Australia. They're actually Irish. I grew up beside them, and they moved over to Sydney, and they came back. So their whole family came back, and they have 3 daughters between the ages of 25 and 18, and they're all like 6'1", 6'2", like supermodel looking girls, right? And like, not that I would look at them like that, but the lads would. And it was just very eye-opening to me, because guess what? They were drinking glasses of Guinness, and we would never have seen girls drinking Guinness before. So it's really in. It's really cool. They've done a really good job with their marketing. So I was drinking Guinness then. One of the lads always orders Malibu and milk. It's a glass with Malibu, just with normal milk thrown on top. And honestly, same night last year, I got sick about 4 times after having about 10 of them. So I only had
disgusting.
one of those. It is fucking horrible. It turns your stomach. And then we had like baby Guinness and shots and stuff like that. So yeah.
I've had a baby Guinness before. Malibu and milk. That is atrocious.
Disgusting. It is horrible. Especially if you have a lot of Guinness in your belly and like it just turns your stomach. It's horrible.
I'll tell you what, a couple of Malibus and milk and some other bloke's pepperoni pizza, mate, you'd be fucked the next day.
100%. But we're going to do it when we're over in Melbourne with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's sold out. Melbourne's sold out.
Mm-hmm.
What day are we getting pissed on Malibus and milk?
Sunday.
All right. We've got the podcast on Monday morning, though, I think.
Yeah, but I'm teaching Sunday morning.
Yeah, we might roll. We'll roll straight into the potty.
Exactly.
That'd be good.
Exactly.
That'd be real good.
I'm looking forward to it. We should. I saw that place that you recommended. Whatever it is what's it called? There's like a brewery place.
A couple of breweries, yeah. Stomping Ground, Two Brothers. Stomping Ground's about maybe 500 meters away. Yeah, it's good areas. Maybe a little bit more than 500, but yeah.
Are you going to host more seminars?
Yeah, we definitely are. We're getting back into seminars, us as a team. And I mean, the facility's there. If anyone wants to run seminars in Melbourne and in a nice facility and sort of like a purpose-built classroom and shit. Mm-hmm. We'd love to take people on. But yeah, we're definitely going to get, Melbourne Strength Culture is definitely going to get back into seminar content. We've got a few plans for Q1. We just haven't got dates and stuff specific yet. We'll probably line them up in Jan and then start the marketing for them and everything. But yeah, we want to get back into that a little bit. I think it's funny, like I think the first podcast we did, I get more responses, like long-term responses to that episode out of anything I think I've ever done. People being like, oh man, I heard you on that. That was awesome, blah, blah, blah. And I think all we spoke about was content. I think that was all that we, and I know you were talking about like Mr. Beast, really.
Mr.
I think you just spoke about Mr.
YouTube, because I think that was January this year. So almost 12 months ago. And I was trying to figure out like my content for the year, because that's when things were changing quite a bit with like Instagram. You were starting a podcast, I was starting a podcast, YouTube, all of that stuff. So it'd be nice to recap a little bit of that and then talk about next year.
Yeah. So with our pivot to content, we sort of were like, well, let's just become the fun guys for 12 months and just fucking talk shit, have a laugh. Don't talk about anything too serious, which we did for a while. And then we realized some of the serious stuff is actually good for like lead gen and just getting the right sort of people, longer term clients and all of that sort of stuff. When you just talk about fun stuff, you get a different clientele coming towards you. So we've actually just started a slow pivot, not back to like high level education and all that sort of stuff, but we're opening that door again. I think we swung the pendulum a little too far one way.
In what way though? In your content side of things, you're going to go back a little bit, or
it's more from the coaches specifically. So the main page will just be fun, dumb shit, not fun, dumb shit, like the fun stuff that we do. And I think most people are starting to realize like the direction that we want to head. Yeah. The main page will be that, like our big like reach posts and all of that sort of stuff, where the boys are going to start speaking a little bit more specifically to like some not higher level, but just like some deeper topics and all of that sort of stuff again, which will open the door to seminars, even just like my mentorship and all of that sort of stuff, like all of those other areas of our business that we hadn't focused on this year too much. Yeah. We see the value in, after doing 12 months of not focusing on it at all, we're kind of like, I think some of those areas we probably need to stay in touch with. Yeah.
I think ultimately a mix of both is good. And you want to be able to show people that like people buy from people, they want to like you, but also they need to know that you know what you're talking about as well at the end of the day, you know? Otherwise,
you're the right person to fix.
You will attract people that they're the people who are only interested in just having a laugh or whatever. They're probably not the best long-term clients all of the time either.
Yeah, I think our strategy caught more like newbies, quote unquote, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that a lot of the time the newer people are new to it. They want to try different things. They want to like all of that sort of stuff. And not to say that we haven't had a great year, like we definitely have. It's just like, all right, well, maybe there's somewhere in the middle between those two polar ends of just having fun, being idiots and eating burgers and doing whatever the fuck that was. And then this like higher level education stuff where we've done tours around Australia with seminars and all of that sort of stuff. And like, we did that all before COVID, and then COVID, we were just like, maybe not. I think I burnt myself out with the online stuff pretty heavily, but, I think, after 12 months of now, the gym's back settled, everything's sort of, we're back and rolling again. I think we can move back into that sort of stuff again. Yeah.
I've had not similar. I know the direction we're going definitely in terms of it's more coaches, more therapists, education and stuff, 100%, because I will burn myself out the other way, and that's more enjoyable for me. But on the content side of it, I was very much like keep things super simple before, super simple all the time, even if it was like just different exercises that coaches and therapists were asking about. My explanation was very like base level. Then I definitely bumped it up a little bit, or a lot probably, where I made things a bit more. I just started using movement terminology, the correct terminology on some of my posts, whereas even before I wouldn't have used that. And that does push some people away, which is fine with me. But now I realize that I can still do that. But actually, I think that, for example, I think one of the reasons that like Lower Body Basics was successful, for example, is actually coaches and therapists did the program as well as other people, and they took from it what they needed to take, which is like, okay, I can use this stuff with my clients, and here's some explanations. Whereas other people didn't even need that. And I actually think that on Instagram you can just put up content like that, which is just outside of some people's reach, but they'll still take some good stuff from it, and then coaches and therapists can learn from it as well. So that's where I'm kind of falling in the middle now, and I think that's a good strategy. So instead of saying, like, for example, instead of saying in a caption, you could use this with your clients, I could say, this will help you do this, this, and this. And a therapist can then go on and like say, okay, I could use that for my client with this, this, and this. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think terminology and language and all that sort of stuff, like most people are just going to take what they want from it anyway. Like you could make the most intricately well articulated post possible, and some fucking idiot's still going to misrepresent it, take what they want from it, probably throw their own bias on it, and it's going to mean, like, it's at the end of the day, like, as long as you're communicating to the right people that you want and not blocking them out because you go too high, I think you can't really go wrong. Especially when it's such valuable content as yourself. Like, man, what happened? We need to talk about this fucking blow up you've just had. You've come out of bloody October, and I hadn't been on your page. I haven't searched your page. I've seen your post, obviously, every day. No, wait. I see your post, but I didn't go to your profile and see the fucking number. You went from like 48,000 to 92 or something. You should drop me in like a month every now and again. All right, I'll get in there. I'll start. Be careful what you wish for. Yeah. We had, and that was like deliberate enough. Not that I thought it was going to do that, but it was fairly deliberate, which was, we're going to absolutely hammer it up coming up to Black Friday and see what happens. Because I wanted a load of new people to sell to, and it fucking worked. And if you look at I sent you the chart of the reach. I think it was reach. I think it was just, and like, new followers, reach and new followers. It was creeping up and up and up just a tiny bit, and then it just went boom, and it stayed up for like 10 days. And actually every day I was posting, it kept going up, because there was new reels that were doing like okay or better than a little bit better than usual, and some of the older reels were still popping off. So that's what happened. And it was like, if you think about that, 10 days, let's say, of all good enough reels like that, they are all just like helping each other all of the time. And I can actually see how some people can grow massively very, very quickly now. I can understand it, whereas before it was like, what the fuck? You actually have to just post more. Yeah, 100%. I think that's one of Hormozy's thing. It's like quality over quantity, but quality times quantity is better than each individually, or it doesn't matter. Like, if you're doing really good things and hitting it really often, and it's landing, and you're communicating your points well, and it's getting shared and all that, like, it's only going to magnify. So that's one of my you inspired us. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit it in Feb. We're doing 28 days straight. It will work. We're going to do it. We're going to plan it. We're going to plan it out properly. We're going to also try and align 4 massive guests on the podcast at the same time, because when we do that, it shit just goes berserk as well. So we're going to try it in Feb and see what happens. I actually think it's a really good strategy for people to. I would go so far as saying, for some people, like, let's say they do 4 posts a week or 3 posts a week for a few weeks. I would go so far as saying, okay, even if you wanted for 3 weeks to do 1 post a week, and then have 3 weeks in a row where you did a post every single day, I bet you that people will grow faster doing it that way. I haven't exactly tried that, but I think they would. And that's one of my big lessons, definitely for 2022, is more force. Put just more and more and more force into things, and it fucking works, which shouldn't be a surprise, but that's what the very best people do. It's like, okay, this is working. I'm just going to multiply that by 10. I'm going to 10x that. Versus trying to find other things that will work a little bit as well. Do you know who Grant Cardone is? Yeah. Yeah, you're the Grant Cardone of the fitness industry. Just 10x it. 10x it.
I'm not a big fan of Grant, but he's not wrong on that. He's not wrong.
Just 10x everything.
Some of his lessons are right. He's just a bit of a sleazebag, I think.
You're getting Guinness on the Saturday night. 10x it. 10 Guinness.
That's a fucking.
Some other bloke's pepperoni pizza. You're never living that down. You stole someone's pepperoni pizza. 10x it all.
It's not my first time. What was I going to say? So 2022 was the year of clout. How would you rate that out of 10?
It was the year of clout. We loved it. We had a ball. We can't believe what happened for us this year. It was awesome. It actually was fucking awesome. I think the work that we like clout ultimately for us just meant brand and brand exposure, but like the amount of new people that are like obviously in our business as customers, but also like just interested in what we're doing. Like our podcast has just gone berserk. We couldn't believe how well the podcast went this year. That was sort of the driver for most of it. But even just like having the like not that we wanted to be like not feeling stale is how I'm going to frame that. Not feeling stale with the type of content that we could produce and promote and do that. Like we ultimately now, like on Friday, we just filmed our Christmas special where we got a sponsor, shouts out Three Kings Wealth Management, but we got a sponsor to cover like our drinks bill and $500 worth of giveaway for our podcast. Like if you told me 12 months ago that someone was going to pay us to get pissed on a podcast and talk shit for 3 hours, which I think it turned out to be about 2 hours and 10 minutes after I cut everything out. But then also like we can give away stuff around Christmas for just like people that follow us and like are involved in what we're doing and interested in what we're doing. Like it's actually been a crazy year. It really has. There's been a few, like, yeah, the year of clout was what we termed it, but it's like it was the year of brand development. It was like pushing our brand out further in different areas, don't be afraid to try different things and say different things. And I think all of that as a whole, I don't think we could have asked for much better than what we got. But it was the same thing, similar to what you just said. It's like brute force, 10x it. That's all we did. As soon as we worked out things that were working, for us, it was the real content. For us, it was putting way more personality into things. It was the frequency of how often we were posting. Also the podcast, like doubling down on the podcast and like, and traveling with it and doing all that. It was just like anything that was starting to work for us, we just went, all right, invest, put money in, put resources into it, let it go. And we're going to do the whole thing again next year, probably just bigger and better. But I think as a whole, like it was awesome. It actually was fucking mad. It really was.
Mm-hmm. I think when you start with brand in mind, it's very hard to go wrong. If you make all your decisions, most of your decisions with what will enhance my brand, that is a very good strategy. And that is another lesson I learned this year, or a lesson that was more, I've always been careful of my brand. Even before I would have put that word on it, brand, I was always very careful around decisions I would make. And like, you know, you get opportunities to partner with different people, or, you know, you can make short-term money very, very easily or easily enough. And I'm very careful with it. I think you can fuck things up really easily, but even not on the messing things up side of it, on the just what direction you should go in. If you start with like, what way do I want people to view me, my name, my company, my work, it's very hard to go wrong in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the biggest long-term play as well. Like you spoke there about like almost like risk management of doing things that maybe might hurt your reputation or do something negative for you. Not that it might be negative, but it just might alter the way somebody views you or somebody views your name or anything like that. I think that the long-term play of trying to build like brand, the oversight of brand, but how people view you, I think that is I think the way I view it is Elon Musk and all of his companies and subsidies and all of that sort of stuff, like ultimately just run off the Elon Musk brand. Yeah, he's incredibly intelligent and he knows what the hell he's doing from an engineering front and just like a serial entrepreneur that's incredibly successful and all that sort of stuff. But like when you actually boil it down, he's got so much public appreciation just because he's Elon Musk and he's the push for the future and all of that sort of stuff. Like ultimately that is brand. I learned a lot of that from Kyle Trainer. If anybody is listening and wants to sort of learn more about how to develop that sort of stuff, or at least how to frame decision-making. But I think Elon Musk is somebody that has done it and is doing it so incredibly well to the point where he ultimately could do whatever the fuck he wanted to. And I think he is doing that. Yeah, he's got the resources to do it, but also he's got the brand to be able to go into whatever venture and do whatever he wants. And that's sort of what we were talking about. Like it's a year of clout, which is in brackets, it's a year of brand development. But it's like, how do we get this thing to a point where we're just not known for coaches? We're known for content. We can do apparel and we want to do apparel properly and that's rolling. We can partner with other brands outside of health and fitness, which we were able to do this year as well. Like how can we position ourselves to be those sort of people within the Australian landscape? Because it happens over in America, and I always look in America as like it's happened over there. It's happened multiple times with multiple different brands of health and fitness. So how the fuck do we do it in Australia? How do we position ourselves to be those people? And then how do we take the steps to actually, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. And I think we are in the direction of doing that, while still being really good at health and fitness and strength training and all of that sort of shit.
They can definitely come together. I like, you've probably already done it in Australia. Is there in the community that you're in, who else would people be looking at?
From a content standpoint, there's a couple of good podcasts. There's definitely a couple of good podcasts around. I think Angus Bradley is definitely on that trajectory of just being like a shaker up of things and doing things his own way, without a doubt.
I would put him in with you a little bit as well, like the same. You kind of rising together, let's say.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm on his coattails a little bit. I gave him a little push at the start, but now I'm just on his coattails. It's good fun.
You just but so who said someone said something to me? Oh no, it was Kier. Kier said to me before. Because he recognized, like, well, long before I did or anything, but he said something like, "Oh, I saw that you were like on the up, and I just came and like just poured gasoline on top of it." Like he was like, "Okay, when I see someone is moving in the right direction, I'm just going to come in and just get involved in that," which is
100%
is a good play.
I think at the end of the day, if they're good people and you have fun with them and you can, like Angus and I have a regular podcast now. It's on his high performance podcast, but we film on roughly every 4 weeks. It's meant to be once a month, but it hasn't worked out that way. But I think we've done 4 of them now. And he's like, it's not like his top performing stuff, but it's like a decently performing for him. And like, it's heaps of fun for us. We just talk shit about whatever the hell's going on. And, but we're ultimately just trying to help each other. Without a doubt. I love Angus. I think he's fucking amazing. I really do. I'd almost be more excited. I almost get more excited watching him like win and do really good things because I know where he's come from and he's just stuck to his guns the whole way. I actually really appreciate seeing him do well. And I think, on his podcast, I was like, "Oh, what's the prediction for 2023? I said to him, I'm like, "You're going to fucking blow up." Like, I honestly think that. I think he's just getting started. He'll be massive.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think
he's the man.
I think so. I think if you looked at, I don't know how many followers or anything Angus has, but I bet you they're engaged, they're highly engaged. A lot of the followers, even like regardless of if they hate him or love him, they're engaged, they're watching him. And I would say that, like, if you looked at someone else with 200,000 followers or something like that, half of them wouldn't be like, I what I'm trying to say is Angus's followers are very specific to what he's talking about. They're like, he doesn't get probably too many, let's say 60-year-old women who are just interested in whatever. Whereas I definitely have some of them on my, I don't mean, I have some coaches who are 60-year-old women. I don't mean anything against them. I mean like people who aren't even in the fitness industry, for example. He probably has 0 of them. He just has people who are interested in what he wants to say, whether they don't like it or they like it. So I
think it's one of those accounts that you sort of have to pay attention to, without a doubt. And it's because he articulates things so well, but he also just seems to be able to say things that most of us are thinking. I think, like, at the end of the day, like so many of the posts is like, that's been in my head for 3 years and I just haven't been able to put it into words or whatever.
Or people aren't thinking it, but then when they read it, they're like, oh, maybe he's right. So I think that's important. But we had our staff party a couple of weeks ago in Dublin. We went with Chris and Alice and Isabel, Chris's partner, and Kira and myself. And honestly, the next day I was buzzing the next day, and I was saying to Kira, we were just walking for a coffee, and I was saying, like, the number one thing is just good people, having good people. Like, I could trust.
100%.
And it's not even that they'll always be with us necessarily or anything like that. Different things will happen. People will leave, people will come and go. But like, I could trust them. I think I could trust them with my life. Like, I could trust that, okay, you're going to leave, we're going to leave on good terms or whatever, anything like that. But so important that you just have good people. I'm doubling down on that next year. It's just like, no fucking dickheads, no anything, just make the right decisions for the right reasons and with the right people. And I think that's a really big deal.
I think that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest thing.
But that's brand too, right? Same thing, like, no dickheads.
Yeah, no dickheads. Yeah, no. We used to call them turkeys, which was ultimately was just like no cunts, but we called them turkeys, and we had them on. We had a sign: "Don't expect to soar like an eagle when you surround yourself with turkeys." Mm-hmm. But that's ultimately what it is. It's just like, don't put people in your circle that. And if you've got an opportunity to spend more time with people, and I say this to young coaches all the time, some people, you can just buy their time, like hire a coach, join a mentorship, all that sort of stuff. If you can get yourself in the right circles early on, and find the right people that are either leading a path or in the direction you want to go, and all of that, or like staffing, similar to what you're talking, that's the biggest thing for me. I say our biggest asset is the team first. The team comes before our clients, from my perspective, without a doubt. I actually did a presentation on this in 2019. I did, it was like 10 business lessons or some shit at this big congress that we did. We had 90 something people turn out. It was really cool. We hired out one of my old uni lecture things at Deakin University, and we did presentations. The four of us did presentations, and we got one external person, Darren McInnes, on. And my presentation was on like business lessons, and the biggest business lesson was that the emotion and the quality of your staff's, it was like their emotional state is the biggest influence on how successful you're going to be when you're in a position of hiring, similar to what you're talking about now. So I viewed it as my job, being like the manager, was to just make sure that the staff were happy, because if the staff were happy, then everyone underneath them and the people that they interact with are happy, and all of that sort of stuff. So I could tell the success of my business from the emotional state of my staff. If they're feeling anxious, if they're feeling worried, overworked, all of that sort of stuff, that tells me more about how everything else is going down below than like a client review of like, oh, can you send me some questions? This, like what your experience has been like, blah, 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 working. Like that was something that I had learned.
100%. I would go into I said it the other day to Kira, we were in a coffee shop and there was two girls in there and they were both turkeys. They were both dickheads, like didn't smile at us, didn't say hello, just took your order, threw the coffee at you. And I said, I guarantee you their boss, like the owner, is a dickhead. I guarantee you, because they wouldn't, firstly, they wouldn't hire someone like that. Or secondly, actually, those two girls could have been lovely girls and could have had the potential to be great staff, but they came in, one mimicked the other one, which was mimicking how the manager treated the clients, which was mimicking how the owner treated them. And I have no doubt that, because it's impossible to come into a business or come into a restaurant or anything like that and not mimic the people around you. You're going to, and if they're not good at their job, then that's going to slowly, no matter how good a person or how good your intentions are, that's going to slowly start to seep into your being, and I guarantee you'll end up like that as well. So I couldn't agree more with that. And with the like getting close to coaches and stuff, the most people are trying to do these studies for the last God knows 100 years, trying to figure out like what dictates why someone is successful or not, or blah blah blah. The most obvious thing to me is just proximity to other successful people. That's so clear. if you can get closer to successful people. And you'll notice that anytime that you have a podcast with someone and like you ask them a question or someone good, even just their energy, or you meet a coach for a coffee, or you have a call with them, or for example, you saw my growth on Instagram, and then you go back and say, okay, we're going to try this strategy. Like that's something you've probably heard 50 times the same thing, and then but it was someone that you kind of knew or something, and then you're like, okay, we're going to do that. It just that will work for you. So it's just proximity to success, and it doesn't mean overall success, but something that you can learn from, you can take from someone. That's like, it doesn't make sense to me that people don't try and do that more often.
Absolutely. It's actually crazy. I would agree with that 100%. That proximity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. And that's like, that goes for everything. People who are trying to figure out what's the next step for me to be a good coach, but they don't know anything about programming, or they don't know anything about biomechanics, or they don't know anything, whatever. They should just pick one thing, go to someone who's really good at that thing and learn from it, and just make a list for 2023. What are my top 5 things I want to learn? What's the most important thing to me right now? And I'm going to just go to the best person I can in that area, take that off, next thing, take that off, rather than trying to do 50 things and reading different books and stuff like that. You need to go to the source, go to the person and learn. And that's what I've done. That's what I'll continue to do. And that, to me, that works. That works.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And I think it also, go on. I think it also, just one last point on that is like you were talking about, like your staff dinner and like a Christmas dinner, but then being G'd up and actually feeling like more energized after that. I think that's another indicator of that you're in the right sort of circle. You've got the right sort of people around you. Mm-hmm. Is that it's not a burden to be around them. You can sort of be yourself, maybe not be yourself as in like just be your, but like you can be your professional self and be the person you want to be and show in that situation, but it's not a burden for you and it doesn't feel like extra work when you're in the right circles and all that sort of stuff. Like I think that's another really good telltale for like you've got the right people around you or they're doing the right things. Because I feel that from like work for us in our team it's more fun than anything else. Like we could just be in there and like whatever, planning things, blah, 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 doing things. But even like the nitty gritty of what we're doing as a team is still like an enjoyable process because you're sort of there with people that you can, I think that would be another thing. And I think that's something that I've been able to do really well is find the right people, but then give them the opportunity to sort of grow into the roles and actually create a pretty darn cohesive team, like an incredibly cohesive team. And I think that's, it's the biggest asset for us, but that would be one other thing that I would just throw into that little piece.
Hey guys, David here. Very quick break from the show. One last call, LBB2, lower body basics phase 2. 4,000 people have done it. If you haven't done it, now's your last chance, very last chance. I will never mention it again. It's going to be in the first link in the show notes. You can jump on and grab it there. It will be gone forever after this podcast. So LBB2, now is your last chance. Jump on. Is the app going?
Yeah, the app's good, man. The app's doing really well. We
that was a big call.
So it was a big, the reason we decided to do the app was, again, it just comes back to that whole team discussion that we had earlier. I'm 100% in on the group that we have. And I know the group that we have can ultimately do whatever the fuck we want and grow to whatever size we want. Like just give us enough time and we'll do whatever we need to do to get there. So the discussion was always, do we hire another coach and potentially have to change the way in which we operate as a group and all of that sort of stuff? Or do we find ways to diversify revenue, grow the business and all of that as just the 5 of us? Like how do we, and we had a massive meeting at the start of the year, and that's what kicked off the year of clout, brand development, diversify income streams, hunt sponsorships and see if we can bring in a new revenue stream there, develop some of these. I call them tier one offers. That's how I frame them. Tier one offers, highly scalable offers. Your products and your ebooks and programs, are tier one offers, incredibly scalable. The quality of the product doesn't deteriorate with more people joining it. It just doesn't. So I was like, how do we grow some of this? And that's where we're like, all right, we need a training app, or we need some sort of development of something that's down here that's incredibly scalable. And as the brand grows, this thing just gets pulled along for the ride and is just going to grow and multiply alongside the development of our reach and all of that sort of stuff. So that's how we got to the app. And then we launched it in, I want to say November. It might have been very end of October, actually. And the launch did really well. We were very happy with the launch. What we found, though, is that some of the people that are in those, this actually might be a good discussion with you. I don't know exactly what you do with, I know you got a Facebook group, I think, with the people that buy your products. But we built a Discord, and the Discord's so much fun. And I would say they're the hottest members of our community. And more than half of them don't even have anything purchased from us. They just enjoy our content and come in and talk shit and get around the jokes and stuff. But we built this Discord to try to grow the community side of the app. And I think now the difficulty for us is all right, we've got this pretty strong group of people that are on the app and using the app, and how do we get them a little bit more involved in the community, a little bit more engaged in all of that sort of stuff, and bring them into the community a little bit more. That's sort of our next challenge, I would say.
That's the big
and then
that's the hard.
Yeah.
And you listen to anyone from any business, any of the big people that run in communities or anything, that's their challenge, is getting people into their network. We haven't.
Have you had any success?
No, initially with our basics programs and stuff, the Facebook group was popping off because I was kind of releasing them, and then there was thousands of people buying them on the same day and coming in together. So that was great because they were all going through the program at the same time, and everyone had the same questions at the same time. So that was brilliant. But then as that kind of dissipates, and then there's not as many people, so that Facebook group, I have two Facebook groups. I have one for our members for our membership site, and that's pretty good. And then the other one is not so good because I've kind of lost interest in that a little bit. But there's still thousands and thousands and thousands of members in there. So I don't know, because how do you do it well? The only way to really do it well would be to have it where it's not a Discord, it's an app, where the app is also the community feature, because they're on there already. And that's why Facebook does work well, even though it's shit. It's because everyone already has Facebook on their phone. So ultimately, you're separating out Discord and the app, which can definitely work, but it's never going to work as well as having one thing all into one place.
It all in the same spot, and you just flick across, and you're in the.
Nowhere does that well.
Yeah. I think it's only a matter of time. I know Eugene Teo, who's another person that I would definitely. Obviously, he's been doing it a lot longer than myself or Angus, but he's definitely somebody that we look up to in the Australian scene of this guy has paved a way and been able to create whatever the hell he wanted to create within the industry. We joke around that he's transcended health and fitness, because I honestly think he has. But I know his app, because he built his own app. He actually got developers and built his own app. His app now has the feature of chat and community within the app as well. That was an update that he's just done. And I think he's got over 10,000 active members or something. His is fucking ginormous.
Is that all training, or is that education as well?
Training, nutrition, education, it's all in one. So we're currently housed on My Strength book, and it has been unreal working with Mike. And we've actually started to work a little bit closer with him. We may transition our whole business onto the app front, not that it will all be templated programs, but we'll use the interface of the app to service our one-on-one clients as well, and our online clients in that way. And we're in discussions of how that would look and the transition across. But Mike and the My Strength book team have this. It's like a mini YouTube section in there where you can just upload private videos, and it becomes this education portal as well. So we're going to be developing that, and then using the two funnels, the training side of things from the app, and then also the education side of things from just our general reach and our more higher level discussion points from the coaches as like two separate funnels down into the subscription service that then you get all of it. You get all the training programs, but you also get all the education stuff. And we're updating them both constantly and building and growing this. And then there's the Discord that underpins all of that as well. Like that's sort of like that's sort of like the next 12 months, I would say, of how we want to build that out.
That's really that's really
but the app's been really good, and the boys are all like really bought into the idea of like how this thing fits well into everything that we're starting to position ourselves to be. So I think we probably need about at least 3 more months, but I think probably 6 months to really build it out to exactly where the potential for what we think it's going to be able to do.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with just sort of fumbling. Like initially we didn't want to do offers for like upfront stuff, but then Mike, the developer guy, was like, man, guys should just fucking do offers, get people in, get them in. Hopefully they start to use it and stay involved. And we started doing that, and then it's already like seeing an increase. So like even just like little things like that where we were a bit like, nah, people will just jump on. It's like, nah, well, hang on, we still need to like. And again, it comes into that marketing stuff. It comes into all that messaging, what's the language, where you're positioning it, what are the pain points the app actually helps, like all that sort of stuff is like, it's just going to take us a bit more time, I think. Yeah. But very happy overall with.
Is there a concern with the app that, not with the app itself, but like, so that people come on and they just, take the programs and leave? Or no?
I mean, if they can, but those people they aren't winners. So good luck to them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've probably hit it. Yeah. You've probably experienced it, but yours has probably been completely copyrighted though. I would have thought like yours would be ripped.
It's been, mine has been taken. Yeah. I don't, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I think in an online space, you just can't get away from it.
No, there's going to be 5 or 10% of people that are going to do that. It is what it is. But like, I think Knees Over Toes guy, I don't know anything about him or his business really, but I think that he just has an app with all of his programs. Actually, I think it's only like Train Heroic or True Coach or one of them, but he has all of his programs just on it. So you can just pay once, or sorry, you join on as a subscription and you can like take every single thing and just leave after the first month, which a lot of people have, but most people don't just leave. So, and he has, like, I heard about 4 years ago that he was making 4 years ago, I heard, now I don't know whether this was right or it could have been 5 years ago, that he was making like $1.5 million a month on subscription revenue.
Yeah.
So people,
that wouldn't surprise me. He's massive.
He's huge. Yeah. And that was 3 or 4 years ago or 5 years ago. So imagine what he's making now.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. Well, Eugene told us what he had at the start, and that was at the start of the year, but that would be, I feel like that for the size that he is, what's he got, like 1 million followers? He was on Joe Rogan, for fuck's sake. Like he's absolutely ginormous. And not just that, got the, not that he's dogmatic, but he's got the very like niche, like this is the answer. Like anybody with those little answers, they just get those little boosts. They get those little
100%.
Because he's got the secret sauce. He's got that secret sauce.
And especially when you hit a certain scale or a certain number, like there's a 1 or 2% of people that are like kind of having little bites at him and stuff like that, where me included, I've said like this thing he says is bullshit. He does not even hear it. He does not give a shit. It doesn't matter. No. He's serving Gen Pop and he just says this is the answer and people love it. So people
love it. Yeah, they want that.
So what's
so that's that. But just back on the app, but I think there's a whole new skill set to that style of business development that we need to learn as a team and as a group. But it has been pretty successful so far. Like we're very happy. If you told us within 2 months of launching, you'd be at this number, we'd be like, yeah, fucking oath. Very happy with that. So,
do you think you're getting into murky waters with putting in the education in there as well?
Nah, because at the end of the day, like like I even look at like our YouTube. We've made like 250 videos on YouTube, maybe even more. We've only got actually no, it's probably 130 podcast episodes from our podcast. Let's say 220 YouTube specific educational pieces, which are all like 5-minute minimum. Like some of them are 10, some of them are 15. And a lot of those topics is what the shit I discuss in my mentorship. It's all there for free. It's sitting there. It still gets crazy reach. And I don't think it's limited anything. If anything, I think it would just boost what we're sort of the value that again, it's that front loaded value. It just like increases that exponentially to the point where people see that, oh, there's a mentorship, bam, I'm going to jump in, or see this seminar, I'm going to jump in, or an online product or whatever it is. So I don't think so at all. We've got a 6-month plan to build it out in a way that, like we're going to start with very foundational pieces, just like very like general, build like a bit of a contextual few months of education. And then once we start marketing it as an education piece, that's when we're going to start hitting a higher, more specific sort of point for it. That's sort of the plan that we've got. So I think with 6 months of sort of like learning, I don't think it's going to impact it too much at all. No. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, like my mentorship, like what's discussed in the app and the educational pieces there, with my mentorship being the biggest competitor within our own business for that education, the mentorship absolutely fucking destroys it, because we do these chats. We sit down in a group of 10 people or 15 or 20 people and we discuss like, oh, what's the next best move? Like, how can we position ourselves and blah, blah, blah. Like, you're just not going to get that from a slideshow of 10 slides talking about motor unit recruitment of a fucking whatever. Like, it's just, yeah.
We've like, I've purposely with my membership site where it's just all educational content. A lot of it is very practical, or hopefully all very practical, I should say. But there's not. I've tried to separate out. Like, you don't get access to me individually or as a group necessarily. Even you can obviously ask some questions. You can obviously ask questions and stuff, but I thought it would like cannibalize my future courses and mentorship stuff that I'm going to do, and it won't. It won't. I'm actually confident that it will help it, because
it will increase it.
It will increase it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
When are you going to do a mentorship?
We had the same conversation last year. No, I'm going to do a course first. I think I'm going to call it like a course before I call a mentorship, or a couple of courses or something like that. Because my problem right now is all the stuff that I talk about is very broad. It's not broad, but there's a lot of different topics within it. So if I did a mentorship now, it would be talking about lower limb, upper limb, return to sport. People would be asking for like some business stuff in there, blah blah blah, and it would be it's doable, and like there's definitely people that are doing that, but I think it would be very, very broad. So I'm thinking of doing a course that targets specifically into return to sport course. And it's like someone lower limb, return to sport. I'll teach everything I know about walking gait, running gait, sprinting, change of direction, and how to rehab someone, all through those things. And that's like a course. We're not going to talk about business stuff on the course. It's not a mentorship, but I will mentor you through on this topic.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah. So it's not like a pre-recorded thing. It's like it's still like
it would be both. There'd be pre-recorded content. Week 1, this is the topic. Week 2, this is the topic. Week 3, we might talk about lower limb tendinopathies or something like that. Week 4, like plyometrics. Week 5, whatever. That type of thing. So it would be in the same format as people would have, and there'd be a live call and a pre-recorded like content to consume, but it's just more specific on a specific topic.
So that was actually my original plan for I actually had a separate spin-off business that I created. It was called what did I call it? Strength Coach Development. It was called Strength Coach DEV. And the plan for me, this was started at the very start of COVID. The plan for me was to do exactly that. But I had it structured as I had foundational courses so I had Business of Strength, which was a 3-week short course on business. I had Understanding Movement, which was a 4-week short course of like, the way I framed it was, this is just so you can have a conversation with people about movement. You're not learning any of the specific things, but you're learning all of these like principles and underpinning things so that you can actually enter a conversation and get value out of it when you're reading content and all of this sort of stuff, like almost just like the underpinning stuff. And then I was going to do a programming short course. And then I had underneath that was like this longer 12-week thing so I'd use those as like a funnel system, bring people in through there, and then be like, if you want the mentorship, you can jump in and the next intake is all that sort of stuff. My journey was I just burnt myself out, but I actually really like that idea where it's like, no, this 6 weeks or 8 weeks, all I'm doing is this section. And then at the end of that, I might do all right, now this leads on to this next one, and you could buy like the double of them or whatever the hell. Like, I think that's completely fine, because the other thing with my experience from now running like a very broad mentorship, I've changed it and reshaped it completely. It's 8 weeks now, but it's ultimately just discussing the shit that I think is important. I'm not teaching you like, oh, this is how to program for this specific thing. It's just like, well, these are the skill sets and the framing strategies and the way I think about things and the way I think you should be thinking about things in order to plan long-term and execute long-term and doing all of that sort of stuff. I think the biggest thing that I still haven't worked out is that I still have so many people that really just want to do like the business side. And it's like, well, do I split it off again, or like, is it even worth it? Or do I just sell the business? Like, I'm still sort of struggling with people that just want that thing. They just want the lower limb shit. How do I don't want to block them off because I'm talking about all this other stuff. So I think splitting it in some constructive way, but it also feeds into everything else in some way. How that works and looks, I don't know, but but I like those. I think that's that's my problem, because if I did the 10-week mentorship, there would be a week on it, let's say, and people would 80% or 70% of the people would be very interested at some point in it, in chatting about business stuff. But there is other people who are signed up who are like, no, I fucking came to learn about movement, you know? So, and because 80% of the course would be about movement. So that's a tricky one. So I don't know, maybe I could have like a running biomechanics type of one, or return to sport type of one. And it's just so specific that this is what you're going to learn. Well, the way organically mine first created that like short courses and this undertone of everything was my very first online one. COVID hit, and I just started taking all these calls with the first group. I think I had like 33 or 37 people in the first one, but COVID hit and all of the lockdowns happened in Australia it was the same day that I launched them. Like day one, call one was the first day of the lockdowns. Like, it was just fucking shambles, and everyone was like, I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'll take calls and help navigate and all this sort of stuff. And it turned into, there was no business in the first course, but because of these calls and everything, I was like, oh, my systems actually help people. I'm just going to tack 2 weeks of business at the front end of the next one. And then at the second one, the second intake, the business shit was the thing that people loved the most out of everything. And I was like, oh, well, all right, well then I'll make a little business course. And then that was the first one. And then the people that wanted to just do the business did that. But then if they wanted everything, they could come and do the rest of it as well. And then it just sort of like, well, what about the people that want to do the opposite side and they just want the training stuff? So I built the training one. And then it was like the movement stuff. So I built the movement one. So I feel like there's no wrong way to go through it. It's just start where you feel comfortable starting, and it will just organically, just don't burn yourself out, because I fried myself doing too many of them. Frizzled my brain on Zoom. Yeah, I know. No, you can't do that. No, I think if you spoke to someone like Hormozy or something, he would say like, okay, niche down, just teach one of these things. But actually, which is not bad advice, but like the people that you're talking to have all of these problems. They need to learn all of these things, and they trust you to help them in that way. So yeah. Hopefully this time next year we won't have the same conversation, and I'm still struggling with the same fucking thing. But just start with a small one, man. Start with what's the thing that you have you even like started getting your brain out of your brain into like a teachable format?
Yeah, I have. Like even the workshops have done that for me. You know,
I guess so. Yeah.
So yeah.
Which one are you the closest to? If you had to run a 6-week or an 8-week short course, which one are you the closest to?
Probably a running one. I could fucking teach that tomorrow.
Like a lower limb running.
Lower limb, yeah.
Rehab.
Week on tendinopathy, week on plyometrics, week on coordinative work, week on like the gait cycle. That would be a piece of cake. Yeah. And that would do really well. And no one does it. No one that's doing it, anything like that. I don't think people really do anything like that, especially now where it's rehabby, and people certainly don't do it well. So that's what I would do. So yeah,
I've got a question for you. I don't know if you've got something else on for your Monday morning, but I've got a question for you related to you said something. So I did Gary Ward's closed chain biomechanics of the lower limb, or closed chain biomechanics of gait cycle or something. I can't remember what it's called.
I haven't done it online. I did. He broke.
Yeah, but you did the in-person one.
In-person one down into that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That is, I put it on a pedestal as the best like anatomy/movement piece of content I've ever come across. It made me understand gait cycle and this. I loved his little principles that he uses about like everything moves around center and like it all just controls and moves back to center. The whole stretch or load and then or bones act. Yeah. Lexington before it attacks. Bones act, muscles react, all of that sort of stuff. Like everything. I watched that, consumed, and I was like, this is exactly what anatomy and how it should be taught and all of this sort of stuff. And then you said something in a passing comment on one of your recent podcasts. I can't remember who you were talking. It might have actually been Angus. And you said that his understanding, as in Gary Ward's understanding of walking and gait cycle was amazing. However, it falls down when we get to running and sprinting. Is that correct? Is that?
I don't want to say Gary because Gary is absolutely amazing, right? Unbelievable. I think top 3 people ever in the industry because he actually has taken something that wasn't in existence necessarily. Like of course the gait cycle was in existence, but he's taken something that no one has actually studied the way he's done it and he's put it out there. It's not like he's just like saw something else and whatever. So I don't know his exact understanding of running and sprinting. But what I mean is the people that do go and do anatomy and motion and they try and apply a walking gait model to running and sprinting falls down. Because particularly the way they train it in anatomy and motion. So everything is done trying to find end ranges, right? So if I'm going to try and pronate someone's foot, I'm going to try using that model. I'm going to try and put in wedges to get them the maximal amount of pronation. And then as I come back out of it, I want the maximal amount of supination with full knee extension, all of this stuff. And which is a really good way of doing it. But in sprinting, that doesn't happen. There's so many isometrics. There's a lot of pre-tensioning before the foot hits the floor. You're trying to actually reduce muscle slack. A lot of the time, you don't want the muscles to lengthen. You want them to pre-tension and overcome muscle slack and before the foot hits the floor. So we have this isometric so then we can use our tendons. That's the difference. And that's
which makes complete sense.
It makes sense. And I'm not saying Gary doesn't understand that, but the walking gait, the flow motion model, it doesn't apply.
Because,
it's parts of it do, definitely parts, because the movements of the bones are the same. They're moving in the same directions. Like pronation is still, some pronation is going to occur, but also the use of pronation and internal rotation does change quite a bit when we move from walking to sprinting, because I think in the walking gait a lot of pronation, and this is more of a visual thing, but a lot of pronation occurs in walking gait with more of a knee that's in external rotation and a hip that's in external rotation. That's what Gary will show, because the pelvis is kind of rotated away from that leg, whereas our most amount of pronation couldn't occur in high speeds and high loads with a knee that's in external rotation, a knee joint that's in external rotation, because you would probably blow something. So we actually use our pronation and our internal rotation in sprinting and jumping to push through the ground, not to, like, we're pushing really hard from a pronated state, whereas we're not really doing that as much in the walking gait. So I think that's a major difference as well.
Yeah,
that's getting into
cool.
other stuff.
No, that answers my question.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know why like where, not so. Yeah, which makes sense. It's just the amplitude of force and the rate of the force development, and also like the co-contraction, that whole co-contraction idea. Like, you're just living in mid-range for the most part. Like, you're just absorb. Like, as soon as you hit the ground, like you're in mid-ranges everywhere, really. But like the knee, the ankle.
I heard Gary several years ago talking about, okay, if you can't supinate your foot, you can't get full knee extension, and you're not going to get all this. You're not going to get all this power from your glute max when you sprint. And actually, I've never seen a top-level sprinter be able to come supinate their foot. They're all slammed into pronation. They're all, like, if you look at that foot is locked. It's not that it's not a stiff foot. It's an incredibly stiff foot in a more pronated state. Yeah. And there's no chance in hell any of them can supinate. And actually, if you look at a lot of them sprinting, if you look at Usain Bolt sprinting in upright running, he doesn't get full knee extension. He doesn't want triple extension because that's kind of pulling him back. He's actually dropping his shin. He's trying to push forward all of the time. So he's using his tendons. You don't need to get this full glute max push all of the time and this full
muscular. It's not a muscular joint action.
No,
like, it's just not. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No. So you slow it down and you see that there's very little movement at the knee joint all through mid stance, and even in late stance, there's still very little. It's all just tendons stretching. So so I think that's where the difference is, and I think it's important for people to understand that. So. But yeah, starting with walking gait is really important, though, understanding that first, but then you have to understand that there's a delineation in some ways as you progress into higher speeds.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. I loved that online course, though. That was my favorite course I've ever done in this industry, other than an internship. But
it is brilliant. He's so amazing. Brilliant.
Because he's got an upper extremity one now, and I haven't done it. I probably will do it, though. I need to do it. But that's there's week 3 of your content. You're already done. Week 3 is why running gait is not walking gait.
Mm-hmm. What's week 2, though?
Week 2 is walking gait. Week 1 is your major principles of movement. Mm-hmm. What are the key things you're looking for, and how does it map out across the following weeks? Week 2, walking gait. Week 3, running gait, and why it's not walking gait. Week 4, common injuries, I'm thinking, like knee or Achilles or something. Week 5 is progression.
We're missing assessments.
Oh, assessment has to be in there, yeah. Mm-hmm. Assessments have to come after running gait. So walking gait, running gait, then what are you assessing? Major problems, and then building plans out from there. There's your 7-week, 6-week course. 7-week is a recap. Slap a price figure on it, and you're good.
How much am I charging?
I don't know. That's up to you.
What would you pay? What would people pay?
I don't know. I have to.
Don't know.
I don't know. The thing is that no. Well, the thing is that your reach, and I think it's very hot. I would say like that would be like $1,500.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe 1,200. Yeah, 1,500, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
it'd be like $200 a week. It'd have to be, and depending on how involved it is.
Yeah, it would be involved.
As in, like, how much is. When I say involved, though, how much of it is like access to you? Is it a limited course intake? Are you only taking 30? Are you only taking 20? Or are you going to take 150? Because you're going to get 150 people. You're probably even going to get more than 150 people. You're probably going to get 200 people, 300.
Nah, fuck. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do it, so I'll do it. Done.
Crazy.
You're going to have to... Hit me out. Did you see McGregor's dispute with his friend over the whiskey? No. His friend Artem Lobov or whatever. He's a fighter as well. He came at they were in court recently. He sued McGregor saying the proper 12 was his idea. So I'm just putting it on record.
Oh, really? No,
it wasn't your idea.
No. This is not my idea, mate. No, not at all. I would love to sit in on it. Though. That'd be good. But I think, man, just do it. Although I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, and you're actually you're winning in so many other areas that it might be a distraction of all the other good shit that's happening. But
no, because
I know a lot of people would be keen.
I don't know if you've read or seen any of Stephen Pressfield's work, The War of Art, the resistance that he talks about. It's the best. If you're a creator, it's the best. I reread that or re-listened to that before. I'll leave you go now in a minute. I re-listened to that before.
I just Googled it.
Starting my 30 days of content thing, and the resistance, because I read it before and it didn't click with me, and now I read it again, and it is the most important book for anyone that is needs to be a creator by far. He calls The Resistance with a capital R. It's the thing that stops you every single day from doing what you need to do. I can't see it. It's blurred.
I'm getting it right now. Yeah, my background's blurred. I'm downloading it right now.
It is fucking amazing. And when you read it and you realize, what's
the main thing? What's the main point you're talking about here?
What's the main resistance? Every single time there's something there's a force in the world that's stopping you from doing the thing that you need to do the most. And that's what he's a writer. So he sits down every single day and he says, I've been doing it for 30 years where I sit down every single day, and are stopping me from sitting down is the resistance. It's stopping me. I can feel something saying, don't do this today. Go and do something else. Don't do it. And he says, I sit down and I have to start to write, and I just write anything. And suddenly he talks about the muse. He's very spiritual about it, but he talks about the muse will come to me if I sit down and put my fucking ass in the chair and do the work. But the resistance is the thing that's blocking me from doing that all the time. It is fucking amazing. And everyone understands it. And he even goes so far as saying Hitler started the war, or Hitler did all this stuff because he couldn't do his art. So whatever Hitler's art was, whatever his creative thing was, it was easier for him to start a war than actually do the work that he was born to do.
That he wanted to do, or that he should have been doing.
That he should have done. It was easier. And everyone feels that. It's easier for you to do something weird or hard, this is why people go and do triathlons and ultra marathons, because they're hiding from the thing. Not everyone, but it's easier to do these physical challenges than to sit down and write for a lot of people, or play music, or sing, or whatever your thing is. It's unbelievable. Most important concept any creator could ever learn. So
I'm gonna start listening. I've just downloaded it. I had 3 credits left. I've just used a credit on it. So
100% best thing.
It's going to be in there tomorrow.
All right,
maybe we'll have to do a book review.
Yeah,
potty.
Yeah,
I'll review it on our potty in Feb.
Yeah,
there we go.
He gets into before we go, he gets into spiritual stuff because he's a spiritual guy, and he truly believes he has a muse and all this stuff. But so that's where I met resistance to that book the first time I read it, because I was like, that's getting a bit weird. But then when I re-listened to it again, I was like, no, I understand partly what he's saying in my way, where he just, you don't have to take it literally, and it still actually it's there for you. So the resistance every single day, sit down, overcome it.
Sit down and fucking put together a 7-week course, mate. Just do it.
That's the plan.
And stop stealing pepperoni pizzas.
That was my resistance that day. I was feeling
that was your resistance,
and I had to fucking get that pizza.
I'll tell you what, I'd have a bit of resistance to a milk and Maduri or whatever the fuck that drink was. I don't even know what that's called.
Malibu and milk.
Malibu and milk. What
disgusting.
Is that?
Disgusting.
Shit ass.
Anyway, okay. Thank you very much,
fun.
friend.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Hey guys, David here again. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Jamie. Always nice to have a nice relaxed chat with someone that you just get along with. So I hope you were able to enjoy it as well. I spoke to Jamie actually after the show, and we have agreed to do a business chat in his gym on the Thursday in Melbourne before the Melbourne workshop that I'm going to do. So let me find out the date, actually. So what we're going to do is host it's going to be a very exclusive event, 3 hours long. I think it's going to start, we'll finalize the times, but around 5 p.m., till 8 p.m. That, don't hold me exactly to that, but roughly that. So the workshop is the 4th and 5th. That's sold out. So Tuesday, I think it is Thursday, I think the 2nd of February in Melbourne Strength Culture. I'm going to do a presentation, purely business. Jamie's going to do a presentation. And then we're going to have like a roundtable discussion on all things social media, business development. I'm going to share my whole business plan, strategy, like kind of basically everything that I think about in terms of attracting clients, where to start them with, low ticket, medium ticket, high ticket offers, how I progress people through. And then Jamie's going to do a presentation on all the smart stuff that he knows. He's one of the best people, I think, in the industry business wise. And I'm going to share tactics versus strategies. So tactics are like, here's the way you should be thinking about your social media. Strategies is like, here's your overall plan. And then a business plan and kind of a flow to work towards as well for your own business. So we'll be both doing that. I think we're only going to have 20 seats available. So we will release the details very soon. But if you're interested, send me or Jamie a DM. Or an email might be better, and I'll put you on the list. So keep an eye out for that. And apart from that, happy Christmas again, everyone. And maybe it's Merry Christmas. I will have an episode coming out before the new year. I'll do a New Year's roundup episode. But yeah, maybe share the episode if you like it. Maybe I'll see you in Melbourne. If not, hope you have a great day with your family or whoever it is that you spend Christmas with. And thanks again for listening, and talk to you guys soon.